how do you say this? But there's an R. Mascarpone. Mascarpone. Okay, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nadia, and this week we're gonna go on a little bit of a trip. A COVID-friendly trip. Because we can't travel right now for obvious reasons, I thought we could explore the world through food. Welcome to the first ever episode in a series I'm going to be calling 80 Bites Around the World. Every few weeks, I'm going to be spinning a globe and placing my finger somewhere, and instead of traveling to that country, I'm gonna try and recreate a dish from there. I have my globe, and it doesn't really spin, so instead, I'm going to throw it in the air, and wherever my thumb lands, that's where we're gonna go. Okay, it's in the shape of a boot. It's very cool. We're going to Italy. I've never been to Italy, but from what I've seen, it looks like an absolutely beautiful country. Right off the bat, I think of the contributions that they've made to the car, fashion, and art industry. And we can't forget about the hand gestures. Food-wise, right off the bat, I think of pizza, pasta, and wine, but I think I'm gonna go a slightly different direction and try recreating my mom's tiramisu recipe. I'm gonna go and figure out what ingredients I need and how I'm gonna put this recipe together, but on that note, cominciamo a cucinare. I hope that was right. Italy, I'm sorry, I really tried my best. In other words, let's get cooking. Tiramisu is a super light, easy, no big dessert that I've never made before, but I mean, that's why we're here. There are two main layers to the cake, the cream layer and the ladyfingers. To get started on the ladyfinger layer, we first need to brew 1.5 cups of espresso. Now, I'm not Italian, I don't have 4 espresso machines in my kitchen, so I'm just using instant espresso from Nescafe. If you don't want to use coffee, you can also switch it out for hot chocolate. While this is cooling, I'm going to work on the cream layer. Did it work? I don't know. For the cream, we need 450 grams or about 1 container of mascarpone cheese. The one that I'm using is 475 grams, so I'm just going to throw the whole thing in. To the cheese, I'm going to add 1 ounce or about 3 tablespoons of Amaretto. It's very almondy, it's nice. And 1 ounce of Frangelico. I like the bottle of this one, this one's cool. That will delight your senses with a surprising hazelnut experience. Yes, it's hazelnut. You can use marsala, rum, brandy, cognac, any liqueur that you like. You can use 1, 2, 3, so long as the combination that you're using adds up to about 1/4 cup. If you don't want to use alcohol, that's totally okay. You can substitute it for vanilla extract, just reduce the quantity. Now, this is not just any cheese, this is a fancy cheese. Mascarpone comes from the Italian word mascacciare, which means to dress up. So what do you do when you want to make a fancy dessert? You use mascarpone. Mascarpone, mascacciare, mascacciare, mascarpone. There you go. Channeling my inner big fat Greek wedding here. It smells like cream cheese. I also did my research, and this in fact is a very fancy cheese. Mascarpone is a triple cream cheese made from cow's milk. It was originally produced by farmers in northern Italy and can be traced as far back as 1168. So just like this cheese has a super rich history, it's also pretty expensive to buy considering the quantity that it comes in. I've seen it in the stores for $8 to $14, which is pretty insane for cheese. If you see it on sale, buy it up and let me know where you found it. So this is all combined. I'm gonna set it to the side, just on the counter, and I'm gonna get started on the next step. For this next part, we're gonna be using a double boiler. On the stove, I have a pot of water simmering, and I'm gonna get started on separating 6 egg yolks. To separate your eggs, the easiest thing to do is just to hit them on each other, and then just go from shell to shell until they're separated. We're not going to be using the egg whites in any other part of this recipe, so feel free to make yourself an omelet. To the yolks, add 2/3 cup sugar and whisk until combined. So once it's on the double boiler, keep mixing. You don't want to walk away because you will scramble your eggs. And you're going to keep doing this until it thickens up. Now we're going to combine the egg mixture and the mascarpone mixture. To do this, I'm going to use my spatula to just combine everything really well. I'm just going to fold them into each other. Now that the egg mixture is cooling in the fridge, I'm going to whisk together 2 cups or about 500 milliliters of heavy whipping cream. And I've given up on doing things by hand. I'm going to use KitchenAid, our KitchenAid mixer, to do the rest. And as always, start this off on a low speed and work your way up. Make sure to keep an eye on your whipped cream. You don't want to overbeat it. It's going to be way too stiff. Now I'm going to fold the whipped cream into the mascarpone cream a little bit at a time. I think that's combined. You say so?
Yeah.
The espresso has completely cooled, which means now we can add our alcohol. I'm gonna be using a 1/4 cup of Amaretto and a 1/4 cup of Frangelico. Now it's time to assemble the tiramisu. I'm using a 12 by 9 inch pan, and before I put anything in it, I'm going to measure out to see how many lady fingers I can fit in each row. In one layer, I was able to place 21 lady fingers. However, this last layer overlaps a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut those little bits off. Now, don't throw these little nubs away. I'm gonna show you how to use them in a milkshake later. See? Now they fit perfectly. Now that I know how many lady fingers I need for the first layer, I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing for the second layer. However, this time I'm not gonna cut any off because my mom told me that for whatever reason in the second layer, they all just fit perfectly. So we're good to go. Now that everything is ready to go, I'm gonna dip the lady fingers in the espresso. Now, I've eaten over-dipped tiramisu and it's just been really soggy and it ruins the whole experience. So keep that in mind when you're dipping your lady fingers. They're super absorbent, so you wanna just do very light, fancy dips. Like the cheese, just very light and fancy. My mom's technique when dipping is just to touch the bottom of the lady finger into the espresso and then do the same with the top. And then you want to make sure that the sugary part of the lady finger is facing up when you put it in the cake. I'm actually going to pause right here and show you the importance of dipping. Here are 2 lady fingers that look the exact same, but there's one big difference. One was dipped in a very fancy way. It absorbed a little bit of espresso and has a lot more room to absorb the cream in the cake, and it's going to hold its shape. The other one was over dipped. It's soggy, heavy, and is literally dripping espresso everywhere. It's not going to be able to keep its shape, and it's essentially just going to ruin the cake. Do a few practice dips and see what your lady fingers look like. And if they don't turn out, you can always just throw them in the milkshake. Once the base of the lady fingers is complete, add half your mascarpone cream on top and repeat for the second layer. My mom's nodding her head. I take that as a good sign. Yes. And Mom, you were right. For whatever reason, this last row, you don't have to cut it. It fits perfectly. I don't know why. The way the pan is shaped. You could make this in a circle dish. You could make it in any dish. You'll just have to adjust the lady fingers, which is why I suggest measuring everything beforehand. The last one. What? Oh yeah, the mascarpone. I almost forgot them. I'm gonna take just a little bit of this and put it to the side because I want to use that in the milkshake. Finish off the cake with the last layer of mascarpone cream. Make sure to spread it to all the corners and edges. Those are the most important parts. Then make sure it's nice and even and clean around those edges. The cake is just about done, and now comes the hardest part. It has to go sit in the fridge for at least 6 hours, but I'm gonna leave it in there overnight. Everything's gonna absorb, and then tomorrow it's gonna taste so good. See you then. While we wait for our tiramisu, we're gonna get started on the milkshake. In a blender, or if you have a milkshake machine, this one's just from Amazon, add a few scoops of your favorite vanilla ice cream. And remember those lady fingers that we cut down earlier? Soak those ends in espresso and throw them in. Then add a spoonful of the mascarpone cheese, but save a little because we're going to use it to rim our glass. Next, add the dairy of your choice. I'm just using half and half and not too much because I want my milkshake thick. Then blend, 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 and pop it in the fridge while we rim our glass with the leftover mascarpone cheese and some crushed lady fingers. When you're done, pour your milkshake, sprinkle some cocoa on top, and decorate with 2 lady fingers. And voila, there you have it, a beautiful tiramisu milkshake. You're welcome. I'm gonna give this a taste now. Oh my god, that's so good. I mean, if you can't eat the tiramisu right away, this is a good compromise. Buongiorno. The cake has been in the fridge overnight and I'm so excited to cut it. At this point, everything should have absorbed really nicely and it's just gonna taste delicioso. My technique with cutting is to always go half and then half again. Right here, straight through. Ooh, it's not too hard to cut. Okay, we're gonna see how this first piece turns out. The first piece is always the hardest. So you can see all the layers kind of came together. There's lady fingers, the mascarpone cheese, and everything absorbed really nicely. You can top it off with cocoa powder or shaved chocolate, whatever you like. I would avoid putting the cocoa powder on the cake when you're putting it in the fridge overnight. It's gonna make it taste really, really bitter. This way it's nice and fresh and it's gonna taste delicious. I'm gonna do my taste test right here. I am really excited to try this cake. It is looking good. It's There's a lot of cocoa. I'm okay. It's really good. It's not soggy at all. What do you think, Mom?
You might have to have another piece to get a real taste.
I agree.
Delicious.
I'm just gonna eat the rest of this. That's all from me this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, the full recipe for the cake and the milkshake will be in the description box below. I'm choking on cocoa right now. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the good things social, and vediamo vendri prossimo. I'm gonna see you next Friday. I go returning trip. Okay. It's the cheese above all cheeses.
Yes.
Some tiramisu ASMR.
That's where what yolks go, I told you.
Oh. I'm realizing now that this globe is a little out of date because it still has Yugoslavia listed as a country, but it's okay. We're still gonna go to Italy. I'll just work on getting a new globe. There's espresso everywhere. Just me waiting to make my milkshake. Yum. It sounds like it's gonna like take off. You can't even see me. Where am I? I'm over here. Hi.